Hello and welcome to Design Data's tips for backing up your SDS2 data properly, or how to build a very basic data backup system for your SDS2 data. My name is Michael Smith. I am a Design Data Support Specialist. You can reach us at support@sds2.com or by dialing 888-883-2492. This presentation will cover information about what a backup is, what it is not, how to set up a very basic backup system, and how to configure some off-the-shelf software to do backups. There are many other methods to backing up and many other schools of thought regarding proper methods. This is not to be considered legal advice or the final answer in how to back up your data. This presentation will give you a very basic understanding of backups and how to set up a very rudimentary backup system. Design Data does not write or support the third-party software mentioned here, nor does it guarantee that the backups done with this software will be perfect. Testing is up to you. What is a backup? Well, the definition from the dictionary gives us two options. I believe the second one is most appropriate for what we're discussing. It's a person or thing that can be called on if necessary. In information technology, a backup, or the process of backing up, refers to the copying and archiving of computer data so that it may be used to restore the original after a data loss. So why should you back up? The question is, how much of your life really relies on the computer? How many of your jobs and fabricators have you created? How many PDFs? How many digital documents have you created? How much billing data? We create data constantly. We are on track to create over 1.8 zettabytes of data this year. That's 210 billion movies. How many financial documents? How many business emails? What happens if you lose them? Hard drives will fail. USB drives, they get lost. CD-ROM drives, or CDs for CD-ROM drives, they go bad. It's not a question of if, it's simply a matter of when. The hard drive of the computer is the component of your computer that has the highest likelihood of failing without warning. It's spinning constantly, it has moving parts, and many potential points for failure. Failure of the drive isn't the most devastating problem that can result, however, it's the loss of the data on that drive. The drive can be replaced. The data is difficult at best. If you rely on your data, you need to have backups. How long would it take to recover from losing a week's worth of work? If you're a one-person shop, it would take you a week. If you're a five-person shop, it could take you quite a bit longer. Data backup is as important as the data that you store on your system. If it holds valuable information critical to the daily operation of your business, then making a backup is also critical. Think about your customer information, supplier details, debtors and creditors, etc. stored on your hard drive, and then imagine not being able to get to it some morning. Imagine having a critical failure in your SDS2 job that you can no longer get into the job and verify and fix doesn't fix it. Backups are for your peace of mind and to save you a lot of time and money if anything terminal happens to your data files. Your data is fundamental to the operation of your business, and it should be valued as an important asset. Few things. What a backup isn't. If you are manually copying your files to another folder on your computer, that is not a backup. Manually copying files to another hard drive in or attached to your machine, it's not a backup. Manually remembering to copy files or to manually start a backup, it's not a backup. Burning a disk of files and storing them in your office, not a backup. These are all problems because it keeps your data on site. You absolutely have to have a copy of your data off site due to natural disaster or any number of other things that can occur. We've had a customer who had a break-in in their office and every single computer they had was stolen. They were able to recover because they had a hard drive with their data off-site. If you really need to have your data in two separate formats, a hard drive and a DVD, a hard drive and a USB drive, cloud storage and a hard drive. Otherwise, you don't have a backup. Finally, you need to think in terms of 3 copies of your data, one on-site, one in the cloud, and one at another physical location. If you have to remember to create your backup, you will forget. That's human nature. You need to test your backups. I've had several customers who never realized that their backups weren't backing up the correct data until the very last moment when they needed to restore it, and they realized that their backup had been backing up corrupted data. I've had another customer who was backing up the wrong data directories entirely. You have to test the restoration of your files. If you don't know if the system is getting all the files that need to be backed up. Backing up your SDS2 data is really relatively simple. You need to make sure that whatever software you use backs up 0-byte files and empty folders. You need to make certain that all of your SDS2 users and any other services or software that may be accessing that data are not accessing the data at the time the backup is made. You need to make certain that the backup is automatic. You need to have backups off-site, and you need to test your backups relatively often. I would recommend testing that at least once a month. Now, we're going to look at 3 different softwares today that will allow you to do backups. They all share several features, one of them being that they can be set to be automatic backups. 2 of them allow for off-site backups. The third, the FBackup software, allows for off-site if you do a little bit of finagling with the software. We're going to start with FBackup. FBackup is free software for personal and corporate use. You can use it to back up to external hard drives, an internal drive, a local or a network drive. If you are willing to do a little bit of work, you can get it to back up to external sites as well. When I use this software, I ensure that everyone is out of SDS2. SDS2 is closed on all stations. And I typically will back up to an external hard drive, such as a 1 terabyte hard drive. I'll rotate those drives once a week and take one of those drives off-site and keep the other in a fire safe if I have the option. Typically, I don't use the compression functionality in the software, and typically I have it set to automatically back up after people leave for the day. FBackup will be a little bit faster than your other 2 options because it is typically not sending things over the web. Anytime that you upload data to the web, it is going to take a little more time. So right now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the FBackup software. Okay. This is the FBackup interface. I've already installed the software, obviously. You can get FBackup at fbackup.com, I believe. And when you're ready to start setting up the software, it's really pretty simple. You're going to click New. You're going to name your backup. In this case, I'm going to call it 7.3B Data Backup. And I want it to go to a local directory. I'm, in this case, going to select a USB drive, and I'm going to browse, and I'm going to create a folder there, and I'm going to select one of these. Let's just call it 7.3 Backups. Next, now I need to make certain that it's going to back up everything in that directory, so I uncheck this, and then I add a folder to backup. I can go ahead and scroll down. Now, by default, your SDS2 data is installed into a folder called Program Data. And for 7.3, it's called SDS2_73B. If, when you're setting this software up and you don't see a Program Data folder there, that's because that folder is typically hidden. So what we're going to do is unhide that folder. So you're going to go into Windows Explorer, click on Organize, Go to Folder and Search Options, and then View, and Show Hidden Files, Folders, and Drives. Click Apply and OK, and then you can close this window, and then you can refresh this, and you should be able to see that file. Now, if you have questions about setting this particular part of it up, or finding your hidden files or folders, or your data locations, you can call us, and we can walk you through doing that. So, like I said, I'll select this data directory, and you'll see all of your files and folders in there, jobs and fabs, etc., etc. You can click OK, and then it's added here. You can click Next. Now, you have a choice of making a full backup or a mirror backup. In FBackup's situation, I usually go to the question mark there and make certain that I'm doing what I want. I want to make a mirror because it is a full backup, and it will make a full backup every time it does the backup. So I will do a mirror. It removes the encrypt option. Go to Next. Again, this gives you the option to do it manually, which basically just lets you click a button and it goes. You don't want to do that because you'll forget. You want to select daily, and then what hour. In this case, I'm going to select 8 p.m. And then it's going to ask for the user to run this under automatically, and your password. Type that in. Click Save. You can either save it and run it at that time, or just save. I'm going to just click Save, and then you'll have an icon here with the timer on it that shows you that it's going to run at a certain time. So when you select that, it says the next scheduled backup is today at 8 p.m. That's FBackup. Our next software we're going to look at is called Carbonite. It's a paid software. It allows you to back up into the cloud. I use it in conjunction with FBackup to provide me with a third portion of my backup trio, which is backing up to the cloud. Again, FBackup I use to have a local backup and a backup to an external hard drive, which I take off-site. I have Carbonite set up to back up once a day when no one's in SDS2. Again, with SDS2 closed, and this ensures that files are not locked and or changing during the process of backup. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at setting that up. And here's the Carbonite interface. I've already installed it and set up an account. This is a trial, and it's going to be a little more limited compared to the full version. And I will show you where that limitation comes in here in just a moment. You have quite a few options here. It's currently paused due to scheduling. But I'm going to go into Settings first and then edit my settings. Now, again, you want it to back up when people are out. So you can set what time you want it to back up. The default option is usually to back up continuously. Now, this is a bad idea for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's going to be missing files that are open in the software, and backing up to an online location is always going to be slower than backing up across the network. It simply cannot keep up with the changes you made. So it will have files that are not up to date in the backup. The other problem with running this constantly is I've had complaints from users who use this software that it slows down their machine while they're trying to run SDS2. And I've never met an SDS2 user who doesn't want more speed out of their SDS2, so I tell it to back up once a day. Since this is going online, it's going to take more time, so I usually start it a little bit earlier, say 5 o'clock, and then I click Save. And then in order to select the files that you want to back up, again, you're going to go to Explorer, select your C drive, and the SDS2 data is in program data. And I do not know if this is a limitation of the trial version or not, but you do not have the option to right-click on these files and select Back Up or Send to Carbonite, whereas outside of the Program Data folder, you do have the option to select Carbonite and then back this up. In my previous use of Carbonite, I've never had a problem backing up program data, so that may be something that you want to talk to the Carbonite support people or Carbonite sales team before you purchase, if you're going to purchase this. So this is Carbonite, and it shows you it's set to back up once a day at 5 o'clock. Restoration from here is relatively simple. You can browse your backup, find the file, and bring that file back to your desktop. So that's Carbonite. Okay. CrashPlan is our third option that we're going to cover today anyway. CrashPlan is a free software. It also has paid options. The paid options are primarily for backing up to their web system so that you can back up off-site into the cloud. If you only use it to back up locally to an external drive or even to a friend's PC through the internet, it is free. One option within CrashPlan is to set this up on, say, your home machine and your work machine, and then you can back up through the internet from your work machine to your home machine. Again, you're gonna anytime you back up through the cloud, it's going to be slow, so it's a little bit slow doing that. It's also slow going to their paid backup servers. I have CrashPlan set up to back up all my files at night when no one's logged into the PC or into SDS2. Again, this ensures that the files are not locked or changing during the process of backing up. And I will walk through a basic setup of CrashPlan. Here's the CrashPlan interface. Again, I've downloaded it from CrashPlan.com, signed up for an account, I already have it set up. So basically, this is the interface. And then you can go to Settings, and this is your general. I'm going to go to Backup, and by default, this is set up to always backup. So it will set up all the time. Again, it will slow down your computer a little bit, and it won't get all of your files. You, again, want to make certain that everyone is out of SDS2 when you do your backups. So I set it to backup between specified times, and I set it between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m. You can change this to whatever time works best for you, but again, you want to make certain that any process that's accessing that data directory or any user that's accessing that data directory are out of the software and out of the data. This is set to go every day of the week, and it's set to go from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. Now, if we go back to backup, we can select the files that we want to back up. So again, we click Change. By default, this isn't showing our hidden files and folders, so you need to show hidden files, select your program data, scroll down until you find your SDS273, select that, and save, and then it will say SDS273. Now currently this is set to go up to CrashPlan Central, which is again in the cloud, but you also have the option to send it to a folder, which could be an external hard drive in this particular case. So you can browse, select your external drive, okay, and it'll just go there. Another option would be to send it to another computer on your network or to another friend who has CrashPlan set up and send that through the internet, and they will host it. All this data is encrypted. There's very little possibility without a supercomputer to crack the encryption on this. So if you just had a friend who had some extra space, you could send it there. In my particular case, I've set this up in some instances to back up from a foreign location, say a site, off-site, back up their data to a machine that I control, And again, that data is backed up, encrypted in order to get that, and unencrypted without the proper codes would take a significant amount of time. So that's CrashPlan. Okay. The software typically will find a way to warn you if you do not have a successful backup. The fbackup interface will have notifications on it saying that something hasn't backed up. Carbonite will have an interface on their website. It also has an option to email you. In this particular image, this is for a machine that doesn't exist here anymore. It shows that it's overdue, and it was last backed up in July of 2012, but it will show you how much data you have backed up. In this particular case, again, it's showing that it's overdue, so that's your notification there. CrashPlan will actually email you. This is an example of their email. Again, Carbonite will email you also. It's a setup that somewhere in the setup, and this will tell you that it hasn't been backed up. Some things to keep in mind when you're backing up. Everyone has to be out of SDS2. If people are in SDS2 when you're backing up, you will not get your files backed up. This is similar to verify and fix in the SDS2 software. You definitely want people out of the software when you do your backups. Online backups take time. You want to set those backups to automatically run overnight, and probably the first time you run an online backup to the cloud, you're probably going to want to set that on Friday and let it run over the weekend, just because it does take some time. You want to test your backups. You want to restore a job in fab to another location on your computer, and then you want to test that job in fab, and you want to do that during your trial period of the software to make certain that it is backing up 0-byte files, it's backing up the proper file structure, it's backing up the empty file directories. I can't stress how important that is. We've had customers who have very expensive systems in place, and they weren't set up properly, or there was a problem with the software where it wasn't getting 0-byte files, or something was occurring and corrupting the data. You don't know if it's backing up properly unless you test your backup. Finally, you really want to make certain that your backup is automatic. You want this to occur without you having to think about it, because you'll forget about it. I've been doing this for quite a few years. For a lot of years at home, I personally said, I'll back up tomorrow, I'll get this backed up now. Just as a real-world example, we burst a pipe at home, and all 3 of my machines at home were soaked. I was able to save the data because the power strips did their jobs and died before the water could kill the machines at home. But that said, the data was only at home. I did not have it stored off-site. That's a lot of data to lose. And admittedly, I'm not running a business from home, but if I were running a business and I lost my PCs due to a tornado, if you live in the Midwest of the United States, or a hurricane if you live on the East Coast, or an earthquake on the West Coast, it's trouble. And that certainly doesn't take into account fire or burglary, or even just a virus that goes through and randomly destroys data on your machine. It can happen at any time. And it's also good just to have backups of your SDS2 jobs and fabs, so if you realize that you're doing something completely incorrectly, you can go back 2 or 3 days into the job, and instead of having to to start fresh, you can start from there. It's just a good idea to have done. Finally, there's another option to use. It's not automatic, but it is an option. There's a software called Dropbox, which places a folder on your machine and then syncs that folder to the cloud. I've had customers who have placed their entire SDS2 data directory in that Dropbox folder. Don't do that. Dropbox upload and download is not fast enough to keep that synced properly, and you will get corrupt data in your SDS2 day-to-day. The best use of Dropbox for this particular purpose would be to zip up your job in Fab and place it in the Dropbox folder for upload to the cloud, and then you'd have access to it anywhere you wanted to. This also goes for USB drives and external hard drives. You can zip up your file, throw it on a USB thumb drive, for instance, and take it with you, take it wherever you go, take it home, put it in a fire safe, take it to the bank, put it in a lockbox. Another note, the project transfer utility in the main menu of 7.3 will back up those jobs. We'll zip it up, a job in a Fab, and then you can take that file with you, throw it on a USB drive, throw it on an external hard drive, throw it in your Dropbox or your box.com, and that's another way of backing it up. Finally, think in three terms of your data: one on-site, one in the cloud, and one in another physical location. In the cloud is great, but sometimes it takes a long time to restore that data. If you have a hard drive at another physical location in your city, you just go get it, you bring that data back, and you're back up and running, whereas restoring data from the cloud can take several days in some occasions. Thank you for attending today. My name is Michael Smith. If you have any questions about this at all, please feel free to contact us at support@sds2.com. I hope we've answered some questions about the basics of backups. I know that we didn't cover many of the corporate backup solutions out there. Those are probably best left to the people who use those professionally. Again, this information was basically just so that you can have a rudimentary knowledge of how to back up your data and give yourself some peace of mind when it comes to SDS2 data and keeping it safe. Again, my name is Michael Smith. If you have questions, please feel free to contact us at support@sds2.com. Thank you for attending today.